Hello, and welcome to the 12th episode of By the Fire with a Shamana, a short transmission bringing shamanic wisdom into your life, one conversation by the fire at a time. It is intended as a form of medicine to heal, open perspectives, raise consciousness, and help you regain more freedom and power over your life. If you are curious to discover why building a strong identity is essential for becoming a grounded human being, and why learning to expand it is essential for spiritual growth, today's episode is for you. Before we begin, I want to invite you to pause for a moment. You are obviously coming from other activities, other thoughts, and right now we are opening together a sacred space for this transmission. So I invite you to take a few deep breaths. You inspire through the nose and expire through the mouth. And you feel the air you breathe circulating through your whole body, through each of your cells. Feel your whole body relaxing, becoming more present, more receptive, ready to activate your listening and learning abilities. And as you arrive more fully into this space, ask yourself, what is your state in this moment? How do you feel? If there is a comment section on the app where you are listening to this episode, I invite you to write how you feel there so we can include it together in this sacred space. And when you feel ready, enter. Last week, we explored the idea that spirit and matter are not opposite, and that spirit expresses itself through the life we are already living. And as I continued reflecting on this, I realized that there is another essential part of the human experience we rarely talk about: identity. Because we do need one, not as a concept, not as an ego structure to worship, but because the human experience is an experience of duality. It is the experience of saying, I am this and I am not that. We need a body, a name, a story, a family, a culture. We need memories, preferences, wounds, desires, beliefs, and ways of recognizing ourselves in the world. Identity allows us to experience ourselves as someone before we can consciously begin to expand beyond who we believe ourselves to be. So before we go any further, I want to be very clear about what I mean by identity. For me, identity is simply what you identify with. It is what you say, this is me about. I am French, I am shy, I am a mother, I am an entrepreneur, I am spiritual, I love the sea, I hate conflict, I am good at this, I am not good at that. All of these sentences create a map of what you identify with. And this map is necessary. A child who does not build a sense of identity does not become free. They become lost. They do not know where they stand, what belongs to them, what their values, what they like, what are their beliefs, or how to meet the world without disappearing into it. This is why I believe identity has a strange and beautiful purpose. It gives us roots. It gives us a place to stand. It allows us to say, this is who I am. This is where I come from. This is what matters to me. This is the shape my life has taken so far. And once we have that grounding, something else becomes possible. We can begin to meet what is different from us without feeling immediately threatened by it. We can meet another culture, another belief, another way of living, another way of seeing the world. And instead of collapsing into it or rejecting it completely, we can stay rooted in ourselves while allowing our map to become larger. Because the purpose of identity is not only construction, it is construction and an expansion. First, we build enough identity to become grounded human beings. Then, through experience, through encounters, through life itself, we begin to expand what we are capable of identifying with. The problem begins when we forget that identity was meant to evolve. We start protecting the map we already know as if it were the whole territory. We say, "This is who I am," and unconsciously we turn it into a limit. We stop exploring. We stop questioning. We stop allowing life to show us new parts of ourselves. But the spiritual path cannot happen without an expansion of identity. You cannot be exactly the same person at the beginning of the path and further along the path. Awareness changes what you see, and when what you see changes, what you identify with also begins to change. So perhaps the purpose of identity is not to define us forever. And perhaps its purpose is to give us enough roots to grow, enough grounding to explore, and enough stability to keep expanding without losing ourselves. Now, as in every episode, I would like us to experience this transmission together. Before we begin this exercise, just a quick reminder to use your judgment and stay safe if you are driving or doing any activity that requires your full attention. So if you feel comfortable, I invite you to gently close your eyes for a moment and simply take a slow breath. Allow your body to soften a little. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, your face, and simply notice the space your body is occupying right now. There's nothing to judge, nothing to change. The goal here is simply to observe with honesty and awareness. Now, I would like you to ask yourself a very simple question. Who am I? Don't try to find the perfect answer. Simply notice what appears first. Perhaps you think of your profession, your nationality, your role in your family, your beliefs, your passions, your personality. Simply observe whatever comes naturally. And now imagine that each of these answers is a place on a map. Together, they form the territory you have explored throughout your life so far. Take a moment to simply look at that map. It is uniquely yours. And ask yourself one more question. What would I genuinely love to explore next? Don't think about whether it is realistic. Don't think about whether you're capable of it. Simply allow what comes to mind. Perhaps it's another culture, a new language, different profession, creative activity, spiritual tradition, a way of thinking. or perhaps a part of yourself that you have never allowed yourself to explore before. Just notice whatever appears. And now notice something else. As you imagine exploring that new territory, what happens inside you? Do you feel curiosity, excitement, resistance, fear? Does a quiet voice immediately whisper, "That's not me"? Simply become aware of that voice. Observe it with kindness, because every journey begins with awareness. Take one final slow breath, and when you feel ready, gently bring your attention back to the space around you. Now, as every week, I would like to leave you with a simple integration practice to continue exploring this concept during the week ahead. During the week, simply notice the moments when you hear yourself saying, "I wish I could do that. I'd love to be more like her. That's not me. I could never do that." Or even, "People like me don't do things like that." Each time you notice one of these thoughts, simply pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this a fact? Or is this part of the identity I have built so far? Is this identity helping me grow? Or could life be inviting me to grow beyond it? Simply notice what becomes possible the moment you replace certainty with curiosity. What this episode invites us to remember is that your identity, what you identify with, has brought you exactly where you are today. Honor it. It has helped you become the person you are. The next chapter of your life is not asking you to abandon that identity. It is simply asking you to expand it. Because the truth is that everything you want in life lies on the other side of an identity expansion. Now, before we close this sacred space together, I invite you to take one final deep breath. You inhale through the nose and you exhale through the mouth. And you simply notice how you feel compared to the beginning of the episode. You can also take a mental note about what you want to take with you from this moment by the fire today. We can now close this sacred transmission space together. The journey continues within you. Walk gently, walk consciously, and remember, you are never walking alone. If the energy of this transmission resonated with you, I would be truly grateful if you chose to share it as you feel appropriate. Because every time this sacred space is shared, its energy continues to expand and reach the people who may need it most. You can also continue and deepen the journey with me on Substack. That is where I share Whispers from the Shamana, a weekly publication to nourish your deeper self and awaken the shaman within. The address is thedigitalshamana with an A at the end, .substack.com. Thank you truly for your presence here today, for taking this moment for yourself, and for stepping into this space. And I will see you by the fire again soon.